We're going to find the missing angle measure of a triangle, and then we're going to classify a triangle by its angles and sides. Okay? So, angle sum of a triangle. We have our model here. We have X, Y, and Z. It says all those added together give us 180 degrees. Circle that. All angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Every single triangle, all the angles will add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So remember that. 180 degrees. Now let's talk about classifying our triangles. Okay? Like I said, all of these triangles, what are they going to add up to? 180. They're going to add up to 180 degrees, okay? Let's talk about angles first. Someone raise your hand. Tell me what acute stands for. What does it mean, Braylon? Be more specific. Audrey. Less than 90 degrees. Everyone write that down. Less than 90 degrees. So acute triangles, all the angles have to be less than 90 degrees. Does that stand true for this right here? All of those angles are less than 90 degrees, so that is an acute triangle. Okay? Can someone tell me what obtuse means, Tyler? Greater than 90 degrees. Okay? How many of those are greater than 90 degrees?
5.
Only one. So for an obtuse triangle, you want one obtuse angle, or one angle that's greater than 90 degrees. Okay? And then what about that last one, right triangle? What can you tell me about a right triangle? Layla. It's 90. What does this mean right here?
90.
That's a 90-degree angle symbol. That's our right angle. So for a right triangle, you only have to have one right angle. Okay?
Yeah.
So for a acute triangle, you have to have how many acute angles? 3. All of them have to be 3. Okay? What about obtuse? 1. And what about right? 1. You have to have one right angle. Yep. Now sides. Raise your hand. Someone tell me what scalene means. Go ahead, Ismael.
None.
None what?
Like not the same.
No sides are the same. Okay, we know nothing about the sides, so we can say that it's scalene. What does the word congruent mean again? The same. Yep, congruent means the same. So with scalene, there's no congruent sides. What about isosceles? Yeah, go for it. There's 2 sides that are the same, or 2 sides that are congruent. Those little tick marks, those are congruent symbols. Those are our congruent markings. Okay, so if we have 2 sides that are the same, that's an isosceles triangle. And then that last one, equilateral. What's that one have to be? All the sides have to be congruent. Equal, lateral, all of them are the same. Okay? If all the sides are the same, what do you think all the angles are? The same. Yep.
What does that mean?
What?
On a triangle, if it's 180 degrees, what would it be? It's like 70.
Okay, let's do it. If they're all, so, if we know all angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees, and we know it's equilateral, how do we know, or how do we find what the angle measures are?
Subtract.
Divided by
3.
3. You're going to take 180 divided by 3 to find those angle measures. Because how many angles are there? There's 3, and you know they all add up to 180 degrees. Okay? Let's look at some examples. In this example, it wants us to find our missing value, that x. Okay, well, what do we know about all angles of a triangle? They add up to 180 degrees. So how do we solve this?
Subtract it by 180.
Subtract what by 180? Yeah, take the 2 that you know, add them together. 189 plus 54. Or sorry, 89 plus 54. What's 89 plus 54? Say that one more time. 143. Okay. Now, how do I find my missing angle? Subtract it from 180. Yep, take 180 minus 143, and what do we get? 37. What would my label be? Degrees. All angle measures are through degrees. Okay. How can I check if I got the correct answer? Add them all up, right? Take 37 plus 54 plus 89. What should you get? 180. Okay? Go ahead and try this one on your own. Okay, first off on this one, we want to find that missing angle measure. Well, first, what do we know about triangles? They all add up to 180 degrees. So how can we find that missing angle? Add the two that we have, 100 plus 33 to get 133, and then what do we do with that? Yep, 180 minus 133 to give us 47. Okay, so that is our missing angle measure, and then I challenge you to classify it by its angles and its sides. Okay, so let's talk about angles first. I have 33, 47, and 100. What should we classify it as with angles? Obtuse. Why do we say obtuse? Because it has one angle that's over 90 degrees. Okay, so that's one. We need to classify it by its sides now. What do we think? Why do you say scaling? None of the angles are the same, which means none of the sides are the same. Okay? Questions about those three concepts? All right. Go ahead and try this one. Let's start it together. So here it says, in the figure below, the measure of angle 4 is 135 degrees. So let's label it. 135. It wants you to find angle 2. I'm going to challenge you. Try it first. So remember those vocab terms. Those will not go away. Use those to help you. What did we realize the relationship between 1 and 4? They're supplementary because we see that straight line, right? What do we know about supplementary angles? They add up to 180, so how can I find the measure of angle 1? Yep, 180 minus 135, what does that give us? 45. Okay, so I'm going to fill in that angle 1 is 45 degrees. What else do we know about that triangle? Right angle, what does a right angle tell us? It's complementary, which is 90 degrees. Okay? Now, originally it wanted us to find the measure of angle 2. Can we find it now? Yeah? How? Add what? Yep, take 90 plus 45. What does it give you? 135. And then how can we use that? Yep, because it's a triangle, we know it adds up to 180, so what do we get? We get 45 again. Okay, so our measure of angle 2 is also 45 degrees. Okay, now I want you to classify that triangle. Classify by its angles and classify by its sides. Okay, how can we classify it by its angles? Is it acute, obtuse, or right? Why right? Yep, because it gives you that 90-degree angle, so it's a right triangle. And then is it scalene, isosceles, or equilateral? Why do you say isosceles? Yep, because they have two angles that are the same. So that means their sides are the same. Okay, nice job. Last few, go ahead and do these two. You're going to classify the triangles by their angles and their sides. So since I'm doing both, how many answers should I have on A and B? 2. Yep. Looking at A, raise your hand and tell me how we can classify it by its angles. Raise your hand. Go for it. What'd you say? Obtuse. Why is it obtuse?
Because there's one over 90.
Because there's one angle that's over 90 degrees. Okay. How can we classify it by its sides, Brayden?
Scaling?
Yep. Why'd you say scaling?
Not the same.
What's not the same?
The degree.
Yep. None of the angle measures are the same, so none of their sides are the same. Okay. What about B? How can we classify B by its angles? Somebody new. Audrey. What? Why do you say right? Yep, this angle measure is a 90-degree angle. What about its sides? Ismail.
It's isosceles.
Why?
Because the two lines that are there.
Yep, these two congruent markings tell us that at least two of the sides are the same. So therefore it's isosceles. Okay, any questions about triangles? Okay.